HD2, Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Football Friday. We're brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Fired up to be here. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Appreciate you making us a part of your Friday. Hope that work week's in the rearview mirror. If not, we will get you to the finish line here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Matt Musso coming up with AFR. Cade Wassam got Louisiana Prep preview a little bit later, and Catholic High and Carr tonight from the West Bank. Should be a big one in South Louisiana. And then it's a big weekend in football and college football as well. We'll get you ready for Saints and Giants up there in New Jersey, and just a lot going on with LSU, including LSU basketball at Florida against Florida Gulf Coast in the PMAC. We'll certainly talk about that. Preston Guy along in 15 minutes to talk about LSU football. Kind of as the regular season is wrapped up, signing days in the rearview mirror, portal season upon us. So plenty to get to with Preston here coming up in 15 minutes. We'll start the same way we start every single day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's opening drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
Over the last 24 hours, it's become apparent to me that the number one need for this LSU football program as we start to look to 2025 is pass catchers. And specifically right now, wide receivers. They do need a tight end, and we'll talk about that. But you've got a couple of guys there who can play the position. You need a different skill set. That's on the back burner for right now. I'm talking wide receivers. And we briefly talked about this yesterday. We have found out over the last 3 days that you have lost C.J. Daniels. You knew you were going to lose Kyron Lacey. And you now look up at Shelton Sampson is gone, and you see that Cal Parker's coming off an injury. And you kind of look around, you're going, okay, Xavier Thomas, Aaron Anderson, Kyle Parker, gotcha. But you've got guys there who are your only productive returning players who are kind of the same. Anderson, Thomas, Parker, they're all 6 feet or under. They're all pretty quick, pretty shifty, pretty fast. I would say Anderson's the shiftiest. Thomas is the fastest. Kyle Parker's probably the best route runner. But none of those guys are going to be significant vertical threats routinely. None of those guys are going to jump up and high point the football often in the red zone. You need a dude. You need Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas and Terrace Marshall and Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. You need a number one dude. And that's obvious. And I think unless Garrett Nussmeier bolts, if he goes to the draft or enters the transfer portal, which is always possible, I think he's going to stay, but it's always possible. Unless he bolts, this becomes the number one need to me. And that is going to be the litmus test for how aggressive LSU is allowed to be in this era. I don't know for sure what has happened in every single instance of transfer portal recruiting and high school recruiting. I don't know exactly what happened with Jakeem Stewart. I don't know exactly what happened with Harlem Berry. I don't know exactly what happened with DeCorian Moore. I don't know exactly what happened with DJ Pickett. Like, I can't point to every example and know exactly how things came together. But we can read the tea leaves and feel like either LSU was just flat out bid because they couldn't keep up with some of these bids, or LSU played it a little bit more conservatively to save funds for elsewhere once X player's dollar amount got above where they were comfortable with. I don't know. But we have heard from Brian Kelly, from folks who talk to those in the collective world, LSU is going to be aggressive in the transfer portal. Okay, well, if you tell me that, this is the position where you got to go get aggressive. And if LSU comes back a little bit empty-handed at wide receiver, that's not going to be because they didn't see a need. That's going to be because they couldn't. And that'll be the litmus test, in my opinion. That's the position I'm looking at. Yes, they need help at other places. You need an offensive lineman. You need a quarterback. It's not a starting quarterback. So you're not getting into the Cam Ward bidding process. You're talking about going to the top of the list at wide receiver, because that's where LSU's got to be. And that's the water I think LSU can swim in with wide receivers. Why? Because the pitch is pretty damn good. If you look at the NFL right now and you see the top 2 wide receivers in yards this season, that's Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. Now, this staff did not coach those players, but it certainly doesn't hurt. They're about to be the highest 2 paid wide receivers in the history of the National Football League. Back up to the guys that did play for this staff. Malik Neighbors leads rookies in receiving yards this year in terms of yards per game. He's been hurt a little bit. And by the way, his quarterback clan is pathetic. Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, and Tommy DeVito. And Malik Neighbors is still leading rookies in receiving yards per game. Brian Thomas is 4th on that list. So you look at getting guys into the NFL, nobody's got a better cast of characters than LSU. Alabama's is really good. Ohio State's is really good. USC's got a good stake to that claim. But LSU's is right there with anybody. You look at the ability to step in and play, you got it. LSU has had better than 55% of its receiving yards and catches walk out the door here. You got to include Josh Williams there and Mason Taylor there, not necessarily wide receivers, but you've got a lot of footballs to be caught. And oh, by the way, as of this moment, the quarterback, one of the best returning in the country. I didn't say the best. I don't know. I didn't say he was a guaranteed first-round draft pick. I didn't say he was going to win the Heisman Trophy. But Garrett Nussmeier, this year, in an offense that wasn't humming all year long, but that was pretty productive, finished in the top 2 in the SEC in just about every passing category there is. So you've got everything that a wide receiver could want here. A staff that can develop you, the ability to get to the field quickly, a quarterback already in place, the SEC, the best competition in the country. The only variable that I can't speak to directly here is money. And if LSU doesn't land one of the top wide receivers in the transfer portal, then that's a bad sign of where LSU sits in this landscape of college football. I have made the comment that I think LSU is going to have a lot of trouble in this landscape getting the number 1 player in the nation from well outside of this footprint. Bryce Underwood's going to be hard for LSU to get no matter what, because you're essentially going to have to outbid everybody at that point, and having to outbid everybody is tough. But as long as you can be competitive and then offer everything else that comes with LSU, which is what I think happened with DJ Pickett and Harlem Berry and Carius Kern, I think that's what happened with those guys. Well, you can swim in those waters. And we've been told that LSU's got cash ready to go, and that they've had money freed up from Bryce Underwood and freed up from DeCorian Moore and freed up from Jakeem Stewart, freed up from Cade Phillips. Okay, well, it's free. Here's where it's got to go. Again, until Garrett Nussmeier tells me he's leaving, this is the number 1 goal for me. They got to get some other things. But I don't believe that LSU is going to field a Joe Moore award-winning offensive line next year. That's my contention as we sit here on December the 6th. I think they can put together a good offensive line. I think they have a good offensive line coach. I think they've got some young talent, and I think they're going to go to the transfer portal and kind of try to see what they can cobble together there. But my gut tells me that LSU's best aspect of its offense next year is probably going to be in the air with Garrett Nussmeier. So you need to make sure that that area of your team is stocked with the best talent you can put together. And there are going to be a lot of guys in the transfer portal. I talked about these names yesterday, but we'll kind of cycle through some of the guys who have gone in the transfer portal over the years, that these are the types of players you got to get. C.J. Daniels is a heck of a player. I think he's a really good player. I think he'd be good for LSU if he came back next year. I think he's going to make an NFL roster. But I'm talking about Jamison Williams, who went in the first round, Ohio State to Bama. I'm talking about Jermaine Burton from Georgia to Bama, who made a huge impact there. I'm talking about Isaiah Bond from Alabama to Texas, who's playing for an SEC championship this week. Keon Coleman from Mississippi State, or Michigan State, down to Florida State. Becomes a high draft pick and plays on an unbeaten team. I'm talking about those kind of guys. Jordan Addison wins the Biletnikoff at Pitt, goes to USC. Like, that's the kind of playmaker that's available almost every year. I'm also not telling you that it has to be from the elite of the elite. You can find great players if your scouting and evaluation is correct. Trey Harris came from Louisiana Tech, and he was the best receiver in the country this year. Just couldn't get on the field. I would even go as far as to say, and some of you are going to shake your head at this, I watched this guy play a lot this year. He's really good. I would take him on next year's LSU roster like that. Andrew Armstrong at Arkansas finished 4th in the country in receiving yards per game. He had over 100 yards per game receiving for an Arkansas offense that was good at some points, but not good. I mean, LSU shut him down. They had Taylon Green pulling the trigger. They found him at Texas A&M Commerce. Okay? Missouri found the SEC's leading rusher at a D3 school 2 years ago. So I'm not as concerned with exactly what school he comes from. I'm not telling you you can only recruit receivers that went to USC, Ohio State, Clemson, Bama, and Miami. Like, just get the right one. Maybe get the right two. And this, to me, as I sit here right now, lots of things can change over the next 2 weeks. We all know that. But as I sit here right now, this is the litmus test for how well LSU can play ball. This signing class, in my opinion, is good. You had some defections late, but it's good. You've got to hit some home runs in the transfer portal if you want to be competitive next year. And it's not every single year that you've got a second-year returning starting quarterback who's in his 5th year, who's a projected top 40 pick in the NFL draft. Is that fair with Nussmeier? I think it is. So if you want to make that into a championship contending team with the schedule that you've got to play next fall, you better find some playmakers, and you better spend some money on it. I don't need any, I got a little bit too rich for our blood. No, sorry. At this point, if the boosters in the collective have put the money in there and said, okay, go use it, you use that money and you go get a wide receiver. This is different than we've ever spoken about collegiate athletics before. I've never had this conversation. We're having it now because I'm looking at this wide receiver group. I'm looking at the quarterback. I'm looking at what's in the portal every single year. I'm looking at what LSU has had happen to it on the recruiting trail for the last 2 years, and I'm going, change it. That's got to happen for this team at that position in the next 3 weeks. I've got a story up at LouisianaSports.net right now that's got some players that have already gone to the transfer portal. You've got Berrien Brown, who went in from Kentucky, who was a former 4-star recruit that set some kick return records. I've got Dane Key from Kentucky as well, as 6'3" and caught a bunch of balls in a terrible offense. Micah Hudson was a 5-star, the first one to ever sign with Texas Tech. He's already in the portal. Concepcion from North Carolina State is in there. There'll be dozens more. Go get one. That's our Genesis opening drive here on this Football Friday. We're brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. When we come back, Preston Guy, TigerBait.com, talking LSU football on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. When you think Genesis of Baton Rouge, you should think luxury. When you think luxury, you don't have to think, well, can't afford that. I know there are some luxury brands that pop into your head from time to time when you think about that type of vehicle. Genesis should as well, and it's at a reasonable price. Look, 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, 3 years complimentary maintenance. The entire line was on the IIHA top safety picks list. Some were top safety picks plus. Your buying experience at Genesis of Baton Rouge is going to be phenomenal. You're not going to feel like a customer. You're going to feel like a guest. Their brand ambassador is going to get you behind the wheel of one of those Genesis, and you'll understand what the fuss is all about. It's a fantastic line of vehicles. On Airline Highway near Pico, just across from Women's Hospital. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge, and every car on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. Genesis of Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play. with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Every Friday show brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Great time of year to eat some delicious crispy fried catfish, jumbo Gulf shrimp. Also, good time to hammer home a po' boy, filling, wholesome, this chilly weather. If you're looking for a po' boy here in Baton Rouge, Corks is a fantastic one. They got your overstuffed shrimp po' boy, catfish po' boy as well. Get you some crispy shoestring fries, some hush puppies, honey butter roll. It's all fantastic. Get some beignet bites on the way out as well, a little sweet treat. They're on Jefferson on Government between Foster and Jefferson. You can find the menu online, corksfishandshrimp.com. Preston Guy, tigerbait.com, with us every single Friday on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Joins us now. Preston, how are you?
Hunt, how's it going?
It's going all right. It's a little busy, a little hectic. The old transfer portal signing day and all that happening, but I know y'all are all over it as well at tigerbait.com. Let's go back to Oklahoma before we move forward into some roster development stuff. Any overarching takeaways from LSU winning their last 2 ball games?
I think that gives you an opportunity to build some positive momentum for the program perception-wise. Because, the difference between 8-4 and 7-5, there is a difference perception-wise. 8-4 is just kind of a mediocre season. Obviously, you have that big egg in your face from missing the playoffs and getting blown out by Bama. But, when you start getting into 6-6, 7-5 territory, it looks pretty bad. And you have a chance to win a ninth game in the bowl game, which, it's probably a 50-50 chance you play a team without a coach nowadays in the bowl game. So as long as Brian Kelly doesn't bolt anywhere, you have a good chance to win that, go 9-4. And, that doesn't look nearly as bad on paper as a season like 7-5, 6-6 would have.
What did you think about Brian Kelly's post-game press conference? Taking receipts, we'll see you in the national championship. What did you make of all that?
Yeah, he came with some fire in that, and he came with some more fire in the what was it, the signing day press conference.
Yeah.
All I can tell you is I think that's reflective of a lot of what I'm hearing, that LSU is going to be investing more in this roster. I think there's a lot of confidence, not just in Brian Kelly, but a lot of people behind the scenes with the program, that this roster will be much better next year. So I think that it echoes what they signed in this recruiting class, although you missed out on some big fish, but they're also planning on getting a lot more aggressive than they were a year ago in the portal. So I think I think it just echoes confidence of what's going on behind the scenes.
Let's talk about signing day. Obviously, it's my contention. I'm just going to react to everything once the ink dries. Don't give me commits and decommits and 11th hour departures and flips and that whole deal. Just what does it look like at the end? Now that you can see it kind of at the end, what do you think?
It's a pretty good class. I think had you not ever landed a commitment from Bryce Underwood and Jakeem Stewart had stayed in 2026,
yeah.
And that layered in with if DeCorian Moore had just decided to go to Oregon from the get-go, I think people would feel a lot better about this class. They'd be pretty excited, and they'd be like, well, what the heck? Why didn't you recruit a quarterback? But, given that you don't even have a quarterback at all, that's your big abject. I don't even want to call it a failure, because the coaching staff did their job to land a quarterback and would have, and a billionaire came in and thwarted their efforts. And it was I think it was unexpected even from Michigan's front until, late down the process, until basically November. So outside of that, I think you'd be looking at a pretty good class. You're talking about you're bringing in the best DB in the country in DJ Pickett, bringing in the best running back in the country, and you're likely bringing in the best offensive line class in the country. So you talk about addressing needs. You're going to have the best running back stable that Brian Kelly's had at LSU next year. And O-line, you need to rebuild in a big way, and you're bringing in all the guys to do it, and you really need a DB, and you would have liked to keep Cade Phillips, no doubt, but DJ Pickett's really the one you didn't want to lose. So I'm good, but ultimately from the fans, look, I like to live in reality, and the reality is fans are going to sit here for years to come and think about what could have been. This is going to be up there with 5 for 5 day for LSU fans, but just like that 2014 class, going to end up being pretty good.
And look, 5 for 5, we talk about this all the time. LSU only went 2 for 5. They got the 2 All-Americans and first-round picks, and the other 3 guys fizzled out and are nowhere to be heard from again. So you never truly know. If Bryce Underwood is Trevor Lawrence or Jameis Winston and wins a national championship and is competing for Heisman trophies or wins one, then it's going to be a sick burn. If he's DJU, then oh well.
The way I look at it, Hunt, with recruiting, I believe I've done the numbers. A 5-star recruit, I think it's 40% chance of getting drafted in the NFL, right? And that's probably not as good as you would think, but that's talent evaluation. The difference is a 3-star recruit's going to have about a 1% chance of getting drafted, and a 4-star is going to be, I think it's something like 15%, right? So it's really, no matter who you sign, you're rolling the die. It's just about what kind of die you're rolling when it comes to these talent evaluators. Do you roll the 3-sided die or 6-sided die or the 20-sided die? And what are your odds of getting a guy that you need? So absolutely. You can. It does depend on which ones and how well you do it and how good of a fit and all that. All that stuff still matters, but I absolutely still look at it as important to bring in as many chances of getting that elite prospect as you can is always a good thing.
No question about it. Mason Taylor and Will Campbell, different elite prospects, one a 5-star, one a 3 or 4, depending on where you were looking, but elite players in college football, and they'll be moving on. No surprise either spot there for you?
No, I don't think very many people were counting on either of them to come back. In fact, from what I'm talking about, LSU, they have to manage funds. They didn't even have a budget to count on either of those guys returning. So most of what we've seen in the portal, not surprising. C.J. Daniels is a surprise. It certainly is one that's going to hurt, but there will be other players in the portal. I certainly think they're looking to upgrade their wide receiver spot in the portal, especially considering this wide receiver class now with losing Meadows and DeCorian Moore months ago. They don't really bring in a super highly touted guy. They bring in some guys they think are good fits and cultural, and they they love these guys, Jace Thomas, and all, but it isn't like you're bringing in a 5-star plug-and-play guy.
Yeah, no question. So that's why my opening segment, I don't know if you caught it there, I said, look, we've heard that LSU didn't quite want to spend there, didn't quite want to spend there, whether it's the portal last year or this signing class, and I get all that. You got to manage funds when they're finite. I'm not really interested in hearing about that with wide receiver here. If you've got Garrett Nussmeier coming back and you don't have to go buy a quarterback, like you can't go to war with Aaron Anderson, Kyle Parker, and Xavier Thomas all at 5'11" and slot guys. Like, you better go get the dude in the transfer portal. That's going to be my litmus test for where this team is NIL wise, depending on what wide receiver shows up here.
Yeah, and my understanding is a year ago they were hesitant to go in the portal, but between coaches going for the green light, saying we got to build a team to win now, they feel the pressure. And between donor bases being more motivated than they were a year ago, I fully expect LSU to be more aggressive in the portal than they were. I'm also told, those funds for Bryce Underwood, those are available.
Yeah.
Those are not something that a lot of people, and in fact, even I was speculating that was probably given, for Bryce Underwood. Well, it wasn't exactly just for Bryce Underwood. They have that money, so they're going to use that to get aggressive and build a team that's ready to compete next year.
After assuming that Garrett Nussmeier stays, because we all understand if he moves, then you've got to go shopping in a big way there. But if he stays, where else are you looking for immediate impact in a big way in the transfer portal outside of wide receiver?
Offensive line.
Yeah.
Look, we talked about what a great offensive line class. Let's say you land 2 true freshmen that are ready to go, freshman All-American, and that's about as good as it gets. You got Emory Jones and Will Campbell. What was that, 3 years ago? That was elite. That's still not good enough because you're losing. You could lose Emory Jones still. He hadn't made an announcement, but we'll see. And your reps, you might be looking for a center based on the reps you got out of DJ Chester. Paul Mabinga started ugly, finished stronger throughout the season. Is he truly ready to be a starter? There's some question marks there. You're losing 2 interior linemen. There's a real possibility, Hunt, that you are looking for 5 new starters next year. Now, more than likely than 5 is you're probably going to be somewhere in that 4 to 3 range, but it is certainly a possibility. So O-line, I think you have to go to the portal and get aggressive with that.
Let's talk about that, because if it's 5 and you essentially kick Chester and Mabenga to the curb there and Jones doesn't come back, like, that spells disaster to me. If you've had Brad Davis bring in these classes of 4 and 5-star players, and you've got 5 new starters, unless you're talking about Cohen Eccles and Weston Davis and Tyree Adams taking over, and then you go get 2 portal guys. But it seems like that right now Chester and Mabenga are ahead of those guys. So
yeah, what
do you think?
Absolutely. Losing 5 offensive line starters is your worst case scenario, no doubt. Unless there's maybe an argument that, okay, they decided to stick with Chester because they couldn't find a center.
Yeah.
So, they had to replace 4, but they really wanted to replace 5 and didn't. Hunt, that's not the position you want to be in. And it's tough to find guys in the portal, no matter how aggressive you are. And yeah, you're getting aggressive, but so is a bunch of schools in the portal, and a lot of these guys really are just looking for the highest bidder. They don't particularly care about the other factors. That's just how this works sometimes. So no, it's not a good situation that they're dealing with the offensive line, but all I can tell you is that the LSU coaching staff is aware of the challenge they're facing, and they from what I understand, there's confidence behind the scenes that they're better equipped to weather that storm than they've been.
Last one here. I'm not sure if you saw this, but I'm guessing you did. Solomon Thomas at his press conference yesterday after announcing he was going to LSU made the comment, I wish I could have gone to Florida State. What do you make of that in this era of college football?
Well, he's from Florida, and the thing to understand here, there's some health issues of his mother. And I think what the sentiment that, I gathered from that and talking to people is that, he wishes his mom wouldn't have to travel to go see him play in Louisiana. Is kind of what he meant by that. And, they just were overwhelmed that they really felt LSU was the best fit for him. And it wasn't necessarily a super highest bidder situation. It's that he had a lot of faith in Brad Davis and what Brian Kelly's been able to do with offensive linemen, and it was impressed with the development of players. So he felt that this was just overwhelmingly the best fit for his future. So did his mother, and they're just sad that she's going to have to travel and continually to deal with health issues. That's what I'm understanding he meant by that.
Interesting. I didn't have that context, so I very much appreciate that. Preston, thanks for the time, man. Have a great weekend.
You too, Hunt. See you soon.
Preston Guy, TigerBait.com. You can catch him every Monday on YouTube. TigerBait.com channel. He's with us every Friday. For those that missed that, Solomon Thomas, who's the 5-star that LSU flipped, Preston added some context there that I wasn't aware of. But if you missed this, he committed to Florida State for a year, and their offense was literally the worst in the country entering the second to last weekend. They had to score a bunch of points on a G5 team to get out of the bottom of the barrel offensively. And Alex Atkins was calling their plays and was the offensive line coach, and they fired him. And that was his guy. So that opens up. Florida State doesn't have an offensive line coach, and he's kind of looking around going, well, I've got to take some visits. So he visited Florida, visited LSU. I think he knocked on Miami's door as well. And LSU emerged as the leader of that group post-Florida State. And he commits to LSU. At his ceremony, he's got a camera in front of him, and he says, the quote comes out, I wish I could have gone to Florida State. I didn't realize the thing about his mom. I think that likely to me, and I want to be very clear, this is just me reading tea leaves and guessing. Certainly never talked to Solomon Thomas, don't know anything from LSU's perspective. This is a pure guess from a talking head on the radio. Feels like, well, I can't really go there because I kind of wanted to play for him, and he's not there. I don't even know who my position coach is going to be. Well, I better look around. Okay, I know my position coach is going to be Brad Davis at LSU, and I have a really good relationship with him. This NIL offer is very nice. This is the next best thing for me right now. It's kind of the way that it sounded to me. I will certainly monitor Solomon Thomas's development his first year, and I'll see who hires Alex Atkins. Because obviously, look, there's a real chance that Florida could lose a former 4-star cornerback who could transfer to LSU because Corey Raymond is now the position coach at LSU, and he was at Florida where the player signed. So you got to realize that those relationships are never going to end. It used to be, a guy signs elsewhere, you kind of cut ties, wish you all the best. Better stay in contact now because you never know when that guy could come right back around the corner. So for me, watching if Solomon Thomas wants to end up where Alex Atkins is, depending on where that is interesting to watch for sure. But LSU will certainly take a 5-star talent on the offensive line if they can get it. When we come back, get you ready for the NFL slate coming up on Sunday. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Meg LaBerge, Baton Rouge, your game day headquarters. LSU is not playing any football tomorrow, but there's a lot of football to watch. Certainly a lot of football to watch on Sunday. No better spot to watch than LaBerge, Baton Rouge, inside the ESPN Sportsbook. And you watch all the games on their giant screen TVs. They got these huge screens that they can break up into different games. You can watch 4 or 5 games at once. It's a fantastic viewing experience. And you can tackle the area's best game day food and beverages with all your friends. They got group seating. They got individual seating as well. So get in on all the football action, basketball action this winter with Penn Play and ESPN Bet. Penn's online sportsbook is now live in Louisiana. Score big this season at LaBerge, Baton Rouge. However you want to play. Must be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700 for help.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today. Or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million-mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram can get you in a new 2025 Ram 1500 truck with $15,000 off MSRP. $15,000 off the newly designed Ram 1500 truck. All new Bayou Automotive Vehicles.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
In about an hour, I'll pick LSU. No, LSU won't be playing. I will pick Saints and Giants on Sunday. We'll get a breakdown of that game.
You got to pick LSU Florida Gulf Coast, though,
I don't have to pick that. I probably won't. I have some riveting statistics on Dunk City. Can't remember what they're the Eagles of some sort?
The Florida Gulf Coast Eagles, I believe.
Is it just Eagles?
Maybe so, yeah. I think so.
There's Cinderella games every year in the tournament. But some runs live longer than others. Dunk City was an indelible mark. I mean, Steph Curry is probably the best. Those early Gonzaga runs were really good, and Steph with Davidson was incredible to watch. But Dunk City just like throwing down on people's heads. Andy Enfield coaching them up. That was a really good week.
It was.
The
Eagles. They are the Eagles.
Yeah, I don't even know if I would have even known that college existed.
I probably wouldn't have either.
To that week.
No, probably not.
They were good. Turned Andy Enfield even richer than he was. Is he the one that had a bunch of money and went to coach? Or was that somebody else that went and coached UCLA?
I think it was. I think he was like a attorney or something, or I'm not sure what he was doing.
Well, they were dunking on people, that's for sure. We'll talk about Dunk City. LSU plays them Sunday at 2, coming up in the second hour. But let's get you ready for Sunday in the National Football League. All right, Tier 4 is where we start. This is the bad football. Got 2 games in this one. AFC South, Jags at Titans. Trevor Lawrence is on injured reserve, so Mac Jones has got a few weeks to not play very well. The Jags have lost 9 straight games on the road. That's the most in the National Football League. The only intrigue here, which might pull it out of Tier 4, The number one pick, very much in play for these two squads. So we'll see how that one shakes out.
Who wants to lose more?
In Nashville. Everybody should want to lose. The Panthers are at the Eagles. This is tier 4 because it's a good team against a very not good team. The Panthers, in fact, are the worst run defense in the NFL. Saquon leads the NFL in rushing yards. I am upset about this game because I'm in the fantasy playoffs next week and I have Saquon Barkley. This is the game I needed in my playoffs. Of course, my fantasy team, Baton Rouge's Eeyore, is the name of that fantasy team. Thanks to Tiger Droppings for giving me that label. It's not good for Eeyore to have this game this week. I need it next week.
Not good.
That's all right. But if the Panthers lose, they're eliminated from the playoffs. So they really need to win this game to stay in the race. Both teams have hit the over in their last 4 games. Tier 3, Jets are at the Dolphins. Aaron Rodgers, 34 consecutive starts without throwing for 300 yards. And Tua has never lost to the Jets. This game could have some points, maybe. It's not good. The Browns are at the Steelers. Myles Garrett absolutely wrecked the Steelers in their first meeting between these two teams. He had 3 sacks and a forced fumble in the first half of that game. The Browns have not swept the Steelers since 1988. I was born in 1988, so that's been a minute. The Raiders are at the Bucks. Brock Bowers needs 3 catches to break the rookie tight end record for receptions in a rookie season. That was set last year by Sam Laporta. The Bucks move into first place with a win and a Falcons loss. And the last one in Tier 3, the Bears are at the 49ers. Caleb Williams, incidentally, 232 throws consecutively without an interception. That is the longest by a rookie in NFL history. Still, the Bears have lost 6 straight games. They fired Matt Eberflus. How bad was Matt Eberflus doing? Check this out. The Bears are the first team since at least 1933. They don't go back any further than that. To lose 6 straight games without having multiple turnovers in any of the games. That's just atrocious football. Like, you're not, like, giving anybody the game. You just can't do anything. Awful, awful, awful in Chicago. All right, up to Tier 2. We got 4 games left, 2 in Tier 2, 2 in Tier 1. This is the best football of the NFL weekend. The Falcons are at the Vikings. Kirk Cousins has turned into a pumpkin here. He has thrown 6 interceptions in his last 3 games. He's the first quarterback with 6 picks or more and 0 touchdowns over a 3-game span since Brian Hoyer in 2014. Woo! Meanwhile, the Vikings, they lead the NFL in interceptions, so trouble. The Bills are at the Rams. The Bills have won 7 straight games. 8 wins would be the second longest streak in franchise history for them. Matt Stafford and Josh Allen playing very well. They're the top 2 quarterbacks in the last 3 games in terms of QBR in the entire NFL. ESPN's analytics say with a win, the Bills have a 53% chance to get the number 1 seed in the AFC. With a loss, that drops by half, 26%. They really need to win this game in LA. In Tier 1, best football of Sunday, Seattle is at the Cardinals. ESPN Analytics says the winner is the NFC West favorite. These teams played 2 weeks ago. The Seahawks won 16-6 in Seattle. This one will be in the Valley of the Sun. And the last one, Sunday Night Football between the Chargers and the Chiefs. The Chargers 3-18 against the Chiefs since 2014. They have lost 6 in a row in this series. The Chiefs have won 14 straight one-score games. That is the longest streak in NFL history. I actually think that's a bad thing for the Chiefs. They're walking a high wire that is too tough, and that's going to hurt them, I think, in the playoffs. They need to start dominating people, and I don't know if they have it in them. But that's it for the National Football League coming up on Sunday. Jacob Beck, any of that pique your interest?
Yeah, absolutely. I was doing AFR yesterday with Musso, and we did our what to watch, and my NFL game was the Jaguars and Titans hunt because
buddy,
it is a stinker, but it is a very important stinker because both of those teams are at the very bottom or the very top, if you will, in terms of the NFL, in terms of the draft order for next year. So
you know who I'm pulling for in that game? I have a decision.
I'm going to guess you're pulling for the Titans.
I'm not. I'm pulling for the Jaguars.
Okay.
Because it's going to make me irrationally upset when the NFL moves that team to London. Because I realize the Jags don't draw well, and I realize there's plenty of a good argument to be made. Well, they don't really support their team, so get them out of there. But I believe there are thousands of people who love the Jaguars and who follow them all year long and love the tailgate and love to go to the games, and that's their favorite sports team.
Yep.
And to take that away from people drives me freaking nuts.
It does
so
suck when
I will
that
pull for
happens.
Jacksonville and hope that they can win a game. And be a little bit more.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's better for them to lose and get
the
first pick. And
well,
then
they
maybe
always have the first pick.
That's true.
They took Walker from
times.
Georgia. They took Lawrence from Clemson. They always have the first pick.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem to help.
It's
they
true.
had that one Bortles team. Where did that come from?
Oh yeah, well they made it to like the
they beat the breaks
semifinals or
off
something?
Indiana.
Yeah.
They beat the breaks off New England, and then they went up to Pittsburgh, and they were in that game. Maybe it was a flip of that. I can't remember. They played the Chiefs, I think.
They had really good defenses.
Yeah, it was incredible defense, and it was playoff Lenny, and they were giving them the ball. I think they may have beat the Steelers. I can't remember.
Yeah,
but
something
they
like
won
that.
a playoff game or two, and they got to the conference final. I know. I just don't know if they played the Chiefs. I can't remember, but I remember they were good because weirdly enough, this is stupid. There are some funny Jaguars fans that have a tailgate.
Oh, yeah.
That are on Twitter.
I've seen
and
that.
I follow them, and so I get a lot of Jags updates on Sunday, and a lot of them are profanity laced and very, very
Naturally.
humorous
There
and
was the
self-deprecating.
there was the what was it? It was like the Jaguar lady or something. She went kind of viral. I don't remember. She was a Jaguars fan, and the local news, they always try to find the funny people and put them to go viral. I can't remember her story, but she was always popping up on social media. She was really funny.
One
I'll try
guy
to find
has
it.
champagne and cookies every time
Yeah.
they win, so he has to buy like one roll of cookies a year. They embrace kind of a trashy nature, taking jealous shots, and like the mascot Jackson DeVille's in the parking lot being malfeasant. It's humorous. I hope they stay in Jacksonville and don't go to London. We'll see. Come back. Ken Mulkey's team got a huge win last night. It was a dramatic win last night. We still got to talk LSU, Florida Gulf Coast, and championship weekend. We'll do all that coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions, avssla.com is the website. You know by now that Mitchell Fisher and his team did our television installation, also did our audio work in our home. And Myers did something to the remote yesterday, and we could not figure it out because we're not very smart. And so my wife texted Mitchell and was like, hey, we got something going on. He logged in remotely and fixed it. I don't even know what he did, but it works now. And that's the kind of customer service that we've come to love from Mitchell Fisher and the team at Audio Video Security Solutions. They are a local company. You have the owner's cell phone number, and he's willing to help. And that's an incredible thing for us, a completely technologically inept family that uses technology a lot. If you're in our boat, or even if you're not, Audio Video Security Solutions is a fantastic company to work with your televisions, with your surround sound, with your entertainment system, with your security system, all those things they can handle. They're local here in Baton Rouge. Here's Mitchell's cell phone number, 225-439-7920. Again, 225-439-7920. You can check them out online. It's Audio Video Security Solutions. It's at avssla.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram can get you in a new 2025 Ram 1500 truck with $15,000 off MSRP. $15,000 off the newly designed Ram 1500 truck. All new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
SEC ACC challenge for the women last night. Stanford, of course, in the ACC, was playing LSU here in Baton Rouge. Stanford led early by 13 after one. They scored 28 in the first quarter, and they were leading by 2 at the half. And then they stretched that to 5 in the third quarter and stretched that up to 11 in the fourth quarter. And some folks started heading to the exits. LSU, of course, dramatically came back, tied it, got it to overtime, and won the game by 6 points. And Jacques Doucet of Channel 9 asked Kim Mulkey post-game, did you notice some folks were leaving?
Michaela, you're obviously focused on what's going on the floor. Did you notice that a lot of people left the game?
I did, and I took names. I won't see them in church Sunday because I'll be gone, but I'll catch them next Sunday. I saw it. Sure did.
Kim's not having it. I've never really gotten that either. I've the only time I can recall leaving a game because I was upset with the result and figured it was over, and LSU really had a chance to win the game. It happened one time that I can remember ever. It was Brandon Harris going into the Mississippi State game at home, and LSU had a Hail Mary to win it. We were watching in the parking lot on an RV lot. That's the only time I can recall leaving. And I, to an extent, understand the traffic angle on football because
not basketball.
Basketball, there's just not a lot of traffic for a
there's
basketball game. And I just feel like if there's like 4 minutes left and you could theoretically throw a couple threes in and win the game, you've been sitting there for 2 hours anyway. You might as well catch the last 4 minutes. But hey, look, it's your time. It's your money. You can do whatever you want. I'm claiming I don't really get it. So LSU did come back and win it. I thought it was an incredibly gutsy effort. Michaela Williams is such a skilled scorer, and she didn't have the ball in her hands quite as much last year. Obviously, Angel's going to do a ton of that. Haley Van Lith was brought in to help with that. And then you've got Morrow and Flauget, who are great scorers as well, and you're a freshman, so not necessarily going to be the primary option. But she can get it going, and she was incredibly efficient. She had 32 points last night, but she was 5 of 9 from three-point range. Flauget dumped in 21. And then Kaylin Gilbert is starting to kind of come on off the bench as maybe an unsung hero. I'm not claiming to be an expert on the personnel on the women's team, especially not in November and early December. But I was aware of what their starting lineup was going to look like, and I didn't necessarily expect a lot from Kaylin Gilbert. And she played 34 minutes last night and really did a good job. Samaya Smith didn't score in 15 minutes, and LSU kind of took her out of the game and went very small. And that's where Gilbert came in to play with Morrow and Michaela and Flauget and Cheyenne Day Wilson. And like that's not something Kim loves to do, to go small. She likes to have a front court presence. But let's be real, like you get behind, you got to play pressure defense. You got to run a little bit. You got to move things quickly. And you got to compromise some things around the rim. And LSU played small, and they were able to cut it down, and they were able to get the bucket. They had a great win down in the Bahamas at the gun, and they had a great compromise win here. And I don't think anybody's going to mistake this LSU team for being as talented as the last two. They're not, but they're good, and they're winning some late games, which is great for this team. You've seen some LSU teams go through non-conference without being tested, and some of that I think is by design, but I think some of it can be detrimental when you get into the SEC, which is obviously the best league in the country. I like the fact that this team has responded a little bit. It's early. They're going to have some bumps in the road. I don't think they're quite as good as the last two teams, but look, they're ranked 5th in the country, and they've got some proven studs. Morrow, Michaela, and Flaugier are as tough a 3 players to defend as you'll find. It's just the rest of that group has got to come together and pack a little bit more punch. So, look, they scored 94 points in an overtime game last night. That's plenty of scoring. And it was a great win against a Stanford team that came in here 7-1. So, Kim Mulkey's team moves to 10-0. And let's see what's next for them. I will check that here because I don't know. I don't even know what's after Sunday for the men. But Grambling coming up on Sunday, 2:00 up in Shreveport. Up there in the 318, probably a Kim Mulkey special there to get Michaela back home to play in front of her native Bossier crowd. So we'll set aside for Sports Center. We got a lot to get to in hour number 2. I got to preview LSU Florida Gulf Coast. We got to preview Saints and Giants. Also, championship weekend is coming up. Give you my thoughts on Georgia, Texas, and the rest of those games as well. So don't go anywhere. Our Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Come back after Sports Center. Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. They're custom. What's better than custom? Everybody wants custom these days, and David Duvall can specify his design to exactly what you need. If you need extra space for XYZ in your closet, maybe you got to wear a suit every day, you don't quite have enough room for that. Maybe you've got a growing family and you're going to move a closet and change that because you've got a new kid moving one room because a newborn's coming in. All kinds of things can lead to issues that need new closet space. David Duvall and his team at One Bath and Closets are happy to do that for you. It starts with a free consultation. That doesn't cost you anything. Then you can start understanding what your process is going to be like, and he'll walk you through it every step of the way. David's been at this for 3 decades. He knows what he's doing. He can help you with it. If you want to see pictures of their great work, go to onebathandclosets.com. One Bath and Closets. Onebathandclosets.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales service and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never.
I'm Doug Brown. It's Conference Championship weekend in college football tonight at 7 Eastern here on ESPN Radio. It's the American Conference title game with Army hosting Tulane. That game also on ABC. In the Mountain West title game tonight, 10th-ranked Boise State hosts number 20 UNLV. Among the games tomorrow, the SEC title game in Atlanta. Number 2 Texas against 5th-ranked Georgia. Bulldogs coach Kirby Smart says it's tough to prepare for this Longhorns offense.
First of all, there's not enough time in the week to worry about the stress that Texas's and Sark's offense puts on you. So, you can't cover it all. We could have 2 weeks. We still will feel like, well, what if they do this? What if they do that? There's too much offense that they can select from to try to chase ghost.
Kirby Smart, Georgia and Texas tomorrow at 4 Eastern on ABC. Celtics forward Jaylen Brown gets a $25,000 fine from the NBA for making a throat-slashing gesture Wednesday night.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman, and coming up Monday, we'll react to Week 14. Plus, their season might be over, but can Joe Burrow and the Bengals curate some positive vibes the rest of the season? We'll talk about it on Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We're brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Talking LSU, Florida Gulf Coast, as well as Saints and Giants moving forward in this hour. Got to get to Conference Championship week as well. And I plan to do that here, and I am going to do that here in a few minutes, but I do have some more transfer portal news as it relates to LSU, so we'll get to that right off the top here. 4 more entrants into the transfer portal for LSU. 3 of these names don't surprise me at all. One a little bit, but not a ton. Bernard Causey is into the transfer portal. I will tell you this. Causey comes in from New Orleans as a defensive back. In my 14 years of going to LSU football practice, have never quite seen a frame as small as Causey. I mean, he was as skinny as I've ever seen on the field for LSU. It was very clear he was going to have to put on significant weight. Did not play at all this year. He may be a great player down the line, but certainly a guy that is going to have to add a little bit of weight. Demarion Johnson is a defensive tackle prospect that they brought in this past year. Did not play this year for LSU. And I did a segment on this. I wrote a story on it for LouisianaSports.net yesterday about LSU's defensive tackle room and how they've kind of shored that up in a pretty short amount of time. Looking at next year, you've got Jacoby and Guillory coming back. You feel really good about where Ahmad Bro and Dominic McKinley ended last year. And then there are 4 signees coming in this class that Bo Davis has personally identified that he wants to bring in at defensive tackle here. So you're really looking, plus JVR Suggs, and you've got some guys there that you really feel like give you a great foundation. I don't know where Demarion Johnson fit into that, but it looked like maybe a playing time issue for him. So he'll move on. Jair Brown came in from from Ohio State to play cornerback. He and J.K. Johnson were the 2 guys from Ohio State that came in, and he was former 4-star recruit, guy that had battled some injuries at Ohio State and just never really got to the field here at LSU. I'm not here to say that he never could, but that's a guy that I'm assuming is kind of looking around at playing time options as well at corner. And then Xavier Atkins surprises me a little bit because Xavier Atkins got to the field pretty early in his LSU career at linebacker. He played against Nichols. He played against South Carolina, played against South Alabama, played against Ole Miss. I wouldn't suggest he was uber productive in that time. He only made 3 total tackles in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games that he played in. But obviously, toward the end of the season, you saw Devon Keys emerge at linebacker and really play well. You've got the Weeks brothers, now 3 of them at linebacker. We'll see what Harold Perkins decide to do. You brought in a couple linebackers in this class as well that LSU feels very good about. So I was a little bit surprised to see Xavier Atkins, who they really liked at linebacker. But we'll see where those guys end up. But portal opens up here in a couple days. Xavier Atkins, linebacker, Bernard Causey, defensive back, Jamarian Johnson, defensive tackle, and Jair Brown, cornerback, 4 more entrants into the transfer portal for LSU on this Friday. So let's look at Conference Championship Week here. I want to start in the Southeastern Conference. Obviously, you're looking at Georgia and Texas, kind of the pick that everyone had entering the year. Texas based on their talent level as well as their schedule, and Georgia based on the monster that they've been. I mean, they hadn't lost a regular season game since back in the COVID year. It had been Kyle Trask was the last team to beat Georgia in the Southeastern Conference in a regular season game. But you look at that schedule, and it's just about too difficult for anyone to navigate. Georgia had to go to Tuscaloosa. They had to go to Austin. They had to go to Oxford. They had Tennessee coming in, and plus they played Clemson in the opener. So that's about as difficult a schedule as you can put together. And they navigated it at 10-2, and through the tiebreakers, they get to play in the SEC championship game in Atlanta and against an opponent they've already seen. We saw Georgia go to Austin and really punk this Texas team, and that led everyone to kind of look back and go, okay, how good is Texas? Like, their best win is Vanderbilt. I certainly said that. I picked A&M to win the game last week, and Texas really kept little brother at arm's length. They didn't allow an offensive touchdown. I think Texas' defensive talent is very good. I'm concerned about the fact that they may not have the best left tackle probably in college football. Banks is hurt and is dealing with an injury, and I quite frankly probably wouldn't put him out there in this game. Texas is in the playoff whether they win this game or not. Georgia's got some dudes on the defensive front, and they can cause you some significant issues, especially when you don't have Kelvin Banks, your best tackle. So I'm a little concerned with Texas' offense. You go back to this game that was 6 weeks ago, and Texas scored 15 points in that game. That's not going to get it. And, oh, by the way, that was at the point in the season where Carson Beck was turning the ball over and giving it away like the old lady at the corner on Halloween giving away Skittles. Like, it was just constant. And he's cleaned that up. He hadn't thrown an interception in his last 3 games, and he's still throwing touchdown passes. It feels like Georgia is the play here. The sense of urgency for Georgia is probably greater. They're playing cleaner offensively. Texas maybe without their best tackle, but I still have to circle back and go, well, Georgia had a lot of sense of urgency last week, and their quarterback played well last week, and they should have lost to Georgia Tech. Like, if Haynes King doesn't cough that ball up on the second to last drive for Georgia Tech and basically gift the field position for the touchdown for Georgia, Georgia Tech wins that game and Georgia's done. And that was on their home field. So I start to analyze the whole thing, whereas my gut told me, yeah, Georgia's really the play. I'm starting to feel Texas a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Longhorns to win this game. The bigger question at a local angle, and I felt this last week as I was watching A&M in Texas, and it furthered a few days later when Cade Phillips flipped. I've harbored this resentment against Texas A&M for a decade, not because I think the yell leaders are goofy, not because I think that they're a cult, not because I think that any of their traditions don't jive. I've been upfront about this. I pull against Texas A&M because I found them to be a threat to LSU. I found their geographical footprint, their resources, and where we played them on the schedule to be threatening to LSU. More so than Ole Miss. More so than Mississippi State. Maybe even more so than Auburn. Certainly more so than Arkansas. That's why I pull against Texas A&M. And LSU got into a bunch of recruiting battles with Texas A&M over the years. You lost Speedy Noyle, lost Le'Veon Moss, lost Jacoby Matthews. You won yours too. But there was a reason behind that, and I've never had that with Texas. I feel like that's coming. And you saw Cade Phillips, and you saw, I'm blanking, but the safety from Acadiana who LSU missed out on last year. Like, Texas is going to come into Louisiana now because they've got fat stacks of cash, and Louisiana's got a lot of players. And I haven't built up that hatred for Texas because we have not played them. But I feel like that's coming. And I don't feel like LSU swims in the same waters as Georgia very often. Now, LSU does go to Georgia and recruit a little bit. Weeks brothers are obviously from Georgia. You've had really good players over the years like Kevin Minner and Kelvin Shepard and a lot of guys from Georgia. All your long snappers have come from Georgia. But I feel like Texas geographically, with the way that LSU recruits in Houston and the way that Texas has come into Louisiana a little bit, like, you've got to pay attention there. So my gut tells me, like, from an LSU perspective, I need to pull for Georgia. So I'll pull for Georgia, test out this theory, and I think it's going to be a heck of a football game. I feel like it's a little bit stress-free for both teams, which I didn't necessarily think entering, but I mean, Georgia is not going to fall behind Bama for losing this game. Even with the head-to-head, I don't think that's going to happen. So I'll pull for Georgia. Don't think it's that consequential, but that's who I got in this SEC title game. Back, do you have a thought on the SEC title game? I'm going to go to the Big Ten here, and then I'm going to get to the ACC. But what are your thoughts on Georgia, Texas? It's obviously two huge brands.
Yeah. I was listening to Live at Lunch earlier today, and they were breaking it down, and Charlie was on Georgia because, you know, Kirby has coached in these games plenty of times, and even though this isn't his best Georgia team, which I think is very clear, he still knows how to coach in these games and knows how to get the best out of his players. And I kind of agree with him, and I have been a little bit negative on Texas all year, and I think a lot of people have because of just the fact that they didn't really play anyone except for Georgia and A&M. They dominated A&M, didn't really do anything on offense, and then against Georgia, they just got manhandled. And it's just weird, you know, like that's just the way that SEC has been. Like Georgia manhandled Texas, and then they got manhandled back, and so like, it's just strange to me.
I will say this: if Georgia beats Texas by 2 touchdowns, beats them by 20 points on Saturday, that will end Texas season for me.
Yes,
because
I agree.
If you prove that you can't match up with Georgia, and I have to go back and go, well, but they did beat Michigan bad, and they went to Nashville and won, and they beat Marcel Reed, you all of a sudden lose your clout.
Yeah.
So I can't trust you at that point to go play Oregon, to go play Ohio State, to go play Tennessee, quite frankly.
Their 2 best wins are against teams that had no quarterback.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatsoever.
So this is a big spot for Texas to prove it that they can hang. So yeah. I'm curious to see. Speaking of proving you can hang, this is going to be contrary to popular opinion, I know. I think Penn State has some good players. I think that their reputation as a team that can't stand up in big games is well earned.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick them to win tomorrow.
Wow. Very interesting, Hunt.
It's not like they don't ever put anybody in the NFL or their quarterback has no talent or like they have some good players. Do I think James Franklin is going to rattle off 3 Big Ten championships in a row anytime soon? No. Do I think they can play Oregon in a maybe sleepy Indianapolis? I do. I think they can win that game. Oregon doesn't have everything to play for, although I do think they'll be fired up. But I like Penn State. I like Oregon more than Penn State in the playoff. I like Penn State tomorrow.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just kind of like, it's not the same situation, but for me, Penn State just kind of like Texas, like they didn't really play very many tough games. Their really only challenging one was against Ohio State, and they lost in a close game. It was close. It wasn't like the Georgia-Texas game. It was Penn State. They proved well for themselves in that game, but they just haven't really been able to prove it against anyone legitimate, not this season and not recently in the last few seasons. So
No, never. They had one where they blocked a kick against Ohio State and won because they blocked a field goal.
Yeah.
So I'll take Penn State tomorrow. And then 7 o'clock ABC, Clemson and SMU. I'm going to say something that's going to make some people cranky, and I'll come across as elitist. So I don't give a rip about SMU making the playoffs. This is not 1987. I haven't watched them play one snap of football this year, and I don't care about my uneducated opinion. I'm confident they're not good.
It's not 1987, Hunt, but it actually kind of is again because SMU has a lot of money.
They do, but
I
don't
they
think
can
they're
get good players.
This is, and I'm coming on the radio. I am telling you, I am uneducated on this point. I'm going to talk about Florida Gulf Coast basketball here in a second.
And you're going to know more
about
that.
And I actually know some things about Florida Gulf Coast basketball because I take that seriously because they're playing LSU. I'm not taking SMU seriously, period. Don't care to.
Okay.
Not going to watch Army and Tulane play. I'm not taking them seriously either. This is elitist. I have 3 national championships, Hunt Palmer. Don't care that my team was 8-4 this year. I care about 5-star recruits, 4-star recruits, first-round draft picks, championships. SMU doesn't have it. Don't care.
All right.
Don't want to watch them in the playoff. Don't need them in the playoff. Certainly don't need Boise in the playoff. Put Bama in. Put South Carolina in. Not SMU. I don't care to watch them play. I'm showing all my cards here.
You are.
I just don't care. I don't have time for that. I like the 12-team playoff. Come Monday, after they've set the field, I'm going to tell you on Monday what my field would be, and we will certainly not have SMU in it. We will certainly not have Boise State in it. We will certainly not have Tulane in it. We're going to have real teams in it.
You know, I'm just looking at all these games, and as you mentioned about the Penn State-Oregon game, about how it might be sleepy.
Yes.
I'm looking across the board at all these conference championship games and the ticket prices. Apparently, you can get in to the Big Ten championship for $20.
I'm guaranteed. Why would an Oregon fan fly to Indianapolis? That's a long way. That's an expensive flight.
Yeah.
When if you really care about Oregon, you're going to go watch them play Tennessee or Bama in a couple weeks. Like I'm not going to Indianapolis for that. LSU fans have for a long time not gone to the SC championship game. I mean, I wasn't there, but I can't imagine LSU traveled very well in 2019.
Yeah,
they were going right back.
I was there, and it was a pretty good crowd. I think that season was just different.
It was a magic carpet ride.
It was,
yes.
yeah.
But and you weren't going to have to spend if LSU got to the national championship on travel. If you're from the footprint, if you're from Houston or North Louisiana or of course South Louisiana, you didn't have to do much for that.
Yeah.
So, I get that to an extent, but like. No, you got bigger fish to fry if you're Oregon. You think you're winning a national championship, you got to save some cash for that.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, that's a look at conference championship weekend. We come back. Am I doing Saints or am I doing LSU basketball here? I think it's Saints.
Yeah, it's Saints.
Saints Rams. We'll do that. Why do I want to write Saints Rams in the doc? It would be Saints Giants.
Saints Giants.
The Saints Rams was last week.
That was last week.
We'll do Saints Rams next.
You just said Saints Rams again.
Show.
I said Saints Rams again. I was reading. I'm Ron Burgundy.
Burgundy.
Let's talk Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Boudreaux's Electrical, Neil and Melissa have been running it for 40 years. Every single Generac home standby generator that you purchase at Boudreaux's Electrical comes with a 7 to 10 year warranty. All those installations are going to be done by full-time employees, not somebody they contracted in. They're going to be using the highest quality in the tubing and the wiring that goes into it, and most of that installation is going to be done underground so that it looks nice. People take pride in their homes. You very likely take pride in the way that your home looks aesthetically. You don't want a big honking generator that just looks out of place and takes away from that look. They're not going to make that happen for you. And when that power goes out, it won't go out at your home because that generator will flip on. Give them a call. Same number they've had for 40 years. 985-397-1562. That's 985-397-1562 or 225-300-9389 in their new Gonzales location. But I tell you the easy way every single day. You can do this, and both numbers are right there online. Go to BoudreauxElectrical.com. BoudreauxElectrical.com.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Little correction on the segment we did at the top of the hour there, where I told you 4 LSU Tigers entering the transfer portal. The names I gave you were Xavier Atkins, Bernard Causey, Demarion Johnson, and Jair Brown. Got those. Matt Zenitz reported it from On3, and then Wilson Alexander confirmed it. So I'm looking, going, well, I can probably say that. Sounds like Demarion Johnson not in the transfer portal. He told the Advocate that. Wilson reported it there on Twitter. So as of right now, Demarion Johnson, defensive tackle, not in the transfer portal, and that is just fine. That adds depth to defensive tackle, and I can promise you this. You never have too many defensive linemen. I will never look at LSU's roster and go, yeah, they really need to thin out a defensive line. That ain't the case. I might every once in a while look at wide receiver and go, or last year in fall camp at running back, they got 8 running backs. That's probably not going to work out. That's not going to happen in defensive line. As many as you can take them all. So Demarion Johnson, not in the transfer portal, currently according to Wilson Alexander, who reported that on Twitter. Saints and Giants coming up on Sunday. Let's make sure we got that opponent correct. This is a game between two teams that are a combined 6-18. The Giants are 2-10, squarely in the mix for the first pick in the NFL draft. The Saints are 4-point favorites on the road. Saints getting a little bit healthier. Cesar Ruiz back at practice. Lucas Patrick back at practice. So Nick Saldiveri, of course, is out. But it looks like the Saints' offensive line coming together, and that has very clearly been the Saints' most important injury issue outside of the quarterback going out. Yes, it's terrible when your top 2 wide receivers go out. Yes, you don't like it when DeMario Davis misses his first game. Certainly, you've had injuries at corner, but nothing has impacted the Saints, in my opinion, quite like the offensive line injuries, and that group is going to be relatively whole here in this game. And I'm looking at this game, and look, we all know that you're not necessarily locking in on these Saints games to see whether or not they win or lose and can make the playoffs. That's really not an issue at this point. So what are some things that you can pay attention to? I've, over the last couple of weeks, pointed to the secondary and those two guys in the absence of Lattimore, who's been obviously traded, and then Adebo, who goes down. You've got McKinstry and you got Alontae Taylor. How do those guys look? That's something that I've been paying attention to. I also want to look at a couple of guys who are young, who are going to get an opportunity, it looks, to play in this game. How do they look? And one has been in there all year and has been very good. That's Trevor Penning. Hand up, right here. Not going to hide from it at all. It's all on tape. You can go listen. I gave up on Trevor Penning in August. Said this guy is never going to work. They're moving him all over the line. He's not very good. I'm watching preseason games. Not only is he whiffing, they're not like, oh, he didn't get that block sealed there. I mean, he's just absolutely throwing air blocks and having free rushers come in. It was just a disaster, a lot of the preseason in pass protection. He's improved. There is real shot here that he is a guy who can man that right tackle for the future. And that's awesome. And I'm going to continue to watch that in this game. But one of the guys that we haven't seen that from, have not seen that development, have not seen that light come on, have not seen that production, is Kendre Miller. Hand up, right here. Told you, in August. Cut him. That's what I said. And there's good reason for that. He's never on the field. Shows up at training camp, first set of drills. Hamstring injury, out. They don't even have shoulder pads on, and he can't practice. And I'm going, get rid of this guy. Their running backs are a dime a dozen. Put Cabote in there. He's running hard in the preseason. He can play running back, fine. You've done a great job over the course of your history of finding guys off the scrap heap to play running back. Pierre Thomas and Chris Ivory and all these guys that weren't Mark Ingram first-round picks, weren't Reggie Bush second overall. You can find a running back. I don't have time for Kendre Miller. Well, turns out Ross Jackson does some reporting at LouisianaSports.net and says, look, Kendre Miller was kind of ready to go, and Dennis Allen was kind of like, I don't really care. You're going on IR. And so there were some disconnects there in the organization. Well, he's back to health. Alvin Kamara has led the NFL in touches most of the year, and you just signed him a 2-year extension, and you're going to really need him down the road. You're not really playing for much. Let's see what the young kid can do. Put him in there. Do something, Kendre Miller. I will say this. There were some flashes at the end of last year. You did see in the Atlanta game, like, okay, well, there's something there. I'd like to see more. The Giants suck, okay? They suck. It's going to be cold. Run the ball. You got an offensive line that likes to run block. Penning loves to run block. Ruiz, better at run blocking. Fuaga, heck of a run blocker. Let's get downhill. Let's run the football. And it doesn't have to be Alvin Kamara for 23 carries in this game. Give Kamara 12. Give Miller 14. I want to see that guy show me that he can take some of this off of Alvin Kamara's plate. Because I can't promise you that Taysom Hill is going to be around forever. I can't promise you how much he can give you next year. You've got to take some of this rushing attack off of Alvin Kamara's plate. And Kendre Miller is in position 1 to do that. He's returned to practice. Says he's healthy enough to go. I'd love it if Kendre Miller got 15 carries and 3 catches in this game. I want to see the talent. It was there at TCU. We saw it. But we have not in black and gold. So I'm not going to break down Drew Lock's return to the lineup. I'm not going to dive into Tyrone Tracy averaging 5 yards a carry. I don't care about that. I like to watch Malik Neighbors play, but he's not real happy there. So it's a little tumultuous. This is not about the Giants. This is about the New Orleans Saints and some of the pieces for this future. Yes, Derek Carr's playing better. 6 touchdowns, no picks is what Derek Carr has given you since returning in Week 9. I love that. I don't think he's the answer moving forward, but that's great. Juwan Johnson needs to be more involved. Marquez Valdez-Scantling's having a little bit of a renaissance here with 4 touchdowns, and all that is well and good too. But I'm not really as concerned with that, and y'all know that. I've talked about it enough. I want to see some of these pieces that are young and cheap. What have we talked about with the Saints time and time and time and time again? Young and cheap, young and cheap, young and cheap. Kendre Miller's young and cheap. Let's see something. Because Alvin Kamara ain't young or cheap. Okay? So I'd like to see some of Kendre Miller in this game. I think they get him going a little bit. I think Kamara gets going a little bit. I think the Saints run the ball well in this game behind a quality offensive line. I don't think the Giants can move the ball on just about anybody, and that includes the Saints' number 29 in the NFL pass defense. So I like the Saints to win this game. I'm going to pick the Saints to win this game. I'll take the black and gold in this one at 27-17, and I think they win the game. I think that'd be great if the Saints win the game. I've said this many times. If they lose the game, I think that's okay for the Saints too. It's not really my concern, but it's like LSU with the bowl game last year. I was far more concerned with how Garrett Nussmeier looked as opposed to whether or not they beat Wisconsin. And in this game, I'd like to see Trevor Penning dominate some. I'd like to see Kendre Miller out there, making some plays, showing some quickness and some explosiveness. I'd love to see the guys on the edges on defense play well. And I'd love to see some of those young pieces kind of emerge into what could be the next iteration of the Saints. They got a lot of roster turnover that's going to happen and a lot of turnover in the middle of the organization. But for this game, for 60 minutes up there in Jersey against this bad Giants team, give me some of the young players playing well. I'll take the Saints to win it 27-17. If you're looking for Saints coverage, you can always find it on LouisianaSports.net. Ross does an awesome job. He'll be hitting the road up to Jersey for this one. And you can also find it on YouTube, Hunt on Saints. And that now is not just on YouTube. My Saints content, Saints is all in podcast form and Hunt on Saints as well. So if you like it in audio form, Hunt on Saints, wherever you get your sound. Step aside, take a time out. LSU Florida Gulf Coast on Sunday at 2. Got an expert that's going to come on and break things down. Had a conversation with him earlier this morning. We'll play some of that. We'll talk LSU and Florida Gulf Coast coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Evolve Physical Therapy in Sports, evolvept.com. Had surgery, you've been banged up and trying to return to health. You get to pick where you do your physical therapy. I would strongly advise you pick Evolve Physical Therapy in Sports. It's not going to take long to realize why they're different over there because they're so hands-on. They're so helpful. The equipment is state-of-the-art. It's a first-class facility. Look, professional athletes have trusted Robbie Bolton with their bodies. You can do the same. Whether you're a 60-year-old getting back on the golf course, 65 trying to play with the grandkids, you're 19 trying to get back to health after surgery. Doesn't matter. If you're active and want to get back to being your active self, Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports can help you with that. They're online at evolvept.com. You can stop by, Starring near Highland Road. They've got first-class facility, and it's like I mentioned, the state-of-the-art equipment. They got the dry needling. They got the isokinetic testing, cupping, scraping, all that they can do in-house. Go by and see them or check them out online, evolvept.com, evolvept.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial properties, so retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
All right, LSU and Florida Gulf Coast will battle at 2 o'clock on Sunday. Dunk City, as they were affectionately called in their tournament run back about a decade ago. Andy Enfield moved on from there to USC. Now he's at SMU, and LSU will see him coming up in the non-conference over in Frisco. But it'll be in Baton Rouge at 2 o'clock, and I had opportunity on the way to daycare this morning to chat with an expert on Florida Gulf Coast. So we'll visit that conversation that we had in my Explorer earlier this morning. It didn't play? We tried to get... Oh, now I got echo.
It's on. I don't know why.
Well, kill it.
Oh, wait. I see oh, never mind.
Can we talk without an echo? No, we can talk without an echo now.
Yeah.
All right, we tried to play some of the Myers man talking about his first basketball game.
Wait, it may be on. Cassie may need to check her audio. It may not. Maybe muted. Okay, yeah, it's muted, I think.
Play it.
All right, are you going to the basketball game on Sunday?
Yeah.
What are you going to say?
I don't say Tigers.
What else are you going to say?
I don't say LSU.
Say, go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Are they going to make it in the hoop?
Yeah. They are going to make it to the hoop. And it's going ball down, and it's going to slam another basketball.
They're going to slam the basketball?
Yeah.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
That's the Myers man.
Wow.
Hard-hitting stuff. It'll be his first basketball game on Saturday.
Incredible analysis.
He's got it all figured out. Just an absolute monster. Loves the hoop. Loves to slam it through the hoop.
Slam it.
Dunk City, but going to be for the Tigers apparently. As he said, he'll say go Tigers. I'm excited to bring the little guy to his first hoops game at LSU on Sunday. I'm thinking 20 minutes, maybe some M&Ms, and that'll probably be it. And then Dad will go to the post-game press conference. But fired up to get him in there at 2 o'clock on Sunday. Let's talk about this Florida Gulf Coast team. They're not good. 3-6 on the season. They've only played one Power 5 team. That was TCU. They lost that game by 16 points, 67-51. Back on Wednesday, they lost to Furman. Game they led by 11 at the half. And they gave it up, gave that lead up, and lost 76-73. They've got a distinct style of play. And quite frankly, I think this is a nightmare for Florida Gulf Coast. They're 223rd in the country in offensive efficiency. They do not score the ball well at all. I mentioned the one Power 5 game they played. They scored 51 points on TCU. They are 317th in the country in points per game. They score 64.8 points per game. 317 in the country. They are 354 in possessions per game. There are only 9 teams in the country that play slower than Florida Gulf Coast. LSU is 25th in the country in possessions. That's real fast. It's a lot easier to slow a game down than it is to speed a game up, so Florida Gulf Coast will try. but I feel like LSU is going to be able to get out and run a little bit because they're just a little bit more, or a lot more athletic than Florida Gulf Coast. Now listen to this. This is an alarming stat to me. I don't know. It to me shows lack of aggression because this is not even a pace thing with Florida Gulf Coast. They are 362nd of 364. So there are only two teams that score a fewer percentage of their points on free throws. So they just don't get to the foul line. They play slow. They don't attack. That's why they don't score any points. Like, there's no better way to score points than to attack, get to the rim, and get to the line. You're shooting high percentage shots at the rim. You're shooting high percentage shots at the free throw line. They don't do that. And they shoot a lot. They score a lot from the three-point line. 57% of their points come from three. That's, they're 57th in the country in percent of their points from three. And that's something that LSU takes away exceptionally well. LSU's the best in the country at three-point defense. So to me, like, they want to play slow. LSU wants to play fast. They want to shoot the three. LSU defends the three. They don't attack, which LSU can be. I look at this matchup. I'm looking at Florida Gulf Coast and going, this is a nightmare for them. They're not great on defense either. They're 170th in defensive efficiency, and they don't defensive rebound at all. They're 217th in the country in defensive rebounding, and LSU's got Corey Chess and Damian Collins, who love to go to the offensive glass. That's not good for them either. I'll tell you what I like from Florida Gulf Coast. None of the numbers I just gave you I like at all. I think that's a disaster of a way to play basketball. But Dallion Johnson is their leading scorer. And I don't know a ton about Mr. Dallion Johnson, but I'll tell you this. He's their leading scorer at 13 points per game. In 9 games this year, 9 games, he has 5 assists, so he doesn't pass, 0 offensive rebounds, so not really going to the rim, and he shot 72 threes. So all he does is shoot threes. He does that okay, enough to score 13 points per game. But my guy Dallion Johnson, who's shooting 8 threes a game, has never gotten an offensive rebound and is 5 assists in 9 games, so not even, he's basically 1 every 2 games. He plays like my intramural team in like 2007. We got to the rec. We shot threes. Don't ask me to pass. Don't ask me to rebound. Don't ask me to dribble. We're getting a shot up. And that's what Dallion Johnson does for Florida Gulf Coast, and he's their leading scorer. Jevin Muniz and Ramad Barno, their 2 wings, are leading them in assists, and those are guys that LSU's going to have to keep off the lane to try to dish out to Johnson for threes. But to me, the keys in this game for LSU are pretty simple. Play fast, not reckless, but fast and controlled. Get Florida Gulf Coast moving a little bit. I don't think they want to do that at all. They've got to own the backboard. This is not a good rebounding team. I mentioned 278th in the country in rebounding. So get to the glass and make your hay there. If they do those 2 things, if they play fast and win the glass, Florida Gulf Coast won't be able to keep up in any circumstance. So in that way, I want to see LSU's 2 freshmen, Robert Miller and Curtis Gibbons, play some minutes and play well. I know Victorious Miller's going to play and play well. Freshman Corey Chess is a redshirt freshman. He's going to be out there in the starting lineup, and he's going to play a lot. Gibbons has been eased in. That's okay because Sears is playing a lot, and because you've seen Carter play great, and now you've gotten the addition of Victorious Miller, and Jai Bailey's going to play and do his thing with defense and making some layups. So they don't need Curtis Gibbons to be a big piece to this roster. I just want him to develop. And once you get into SEC play, his minutes are going to be cut down in a big way, I think. So these are the opportunities to get him reps and to get him moving, because I still think Curtis Gibbons is going to be a great player at LSU. I love his frame, his length. I like his vision and his basketball IQ. He's not shooting it great, and he's got to put on some weight, but I want him to get some more reps. And so this is a chance for him to get out there. And Robert Miller is going to have to play. I know he started the first handful of games, but when you lose Jalen Reed, like Damian Collins and Corey Chest are going to get in foul trouble at times. Like, that's just part of being a big, especially in the SEC. So you're going to go to Derek Fountain quickly, but Miller's going to have to play. He had 2 huge putbacks in the game against Florida State, so I want to see him out there and playing a little bit. So to me, take control of the game by using your tempo and then owning the backboard, and then get the freshmen in late. Now, that's going to require that LSU start much faster than they've started in a lot of these games. And we already know that. I'm not going to rehash that for the 900th time in a row, but LSU needs to get off to a better start. we know they've got to get off to a better start. But this matchup is terrible for Florida Gulf Coast. I don't know what the number is going to be tomorrow. I don't care. LSU should hammer this team in the PMAC and put this thing to bed a little bit after halftime. That's what I'm looking to see in the PMAC. We'll also see the Myers man. We got some tickets this morning, so he's fired up. We passed the basketball arena, football stadium, and baseball stadium. He points them all out every day on the way to daycare, so we'll be in the PMAC. If you see us, say hey. We're looking forward to getting in there on Sunday at 2 o'clock. When we come back, we will close out the week on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com is the website. When you think luxury, think Genesis of Baton Rouge. Every single car in that line is incredibly safe. It's sleekly designed. It rides great. It's comfortable. It's got all the bells and whistles that you would want in those modern vehicles. And it comes at a reasonable price. Go by the dealership. You're going to feel like a guest, not a customer. Their brand ambassadors are phenomenal to work with. They'll get you behind the wheel of that car, and you'll see for yourself why there's a Genesis difference. And when you think, I don't really like going to dealerships, I get that. Sometimes it can be a negative experience. It's not going to be the case at Genesis of Baton Rouge. But if you want them to come to you, you can do that. Start the process online at genesisofbatonrouge.com and find a car you'd like to test drive. Everyone that's on the lot is online. One of their brand ambassadors will bring that car to you at work, at home, whatever. They'll walk you through that test drive, and you can see for yourself. You never have to set foot on the dealership. They do e-contracts, delivery. All that can be done away from the grounds of the dealership. They're on Airline at Pico if you want to stop by, but you don't have to. Check them out online, Genesis of Baton Rouge. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Reminder about my friends at Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp, corksfishandshrimp.com. If you've got a holiday party up for the office that's coming up and you want some catering done, maybe you're feeding the office lunch. It's kind of a year-end treat if you hit a bunch of goals. Cork's always happy to feed the office, always happy to feed the holiday party, always happy to feed the tailgate party as well. They can do bulk orders, big trays of that crispy fried catfish, big trays of that jumbo Gulf shrimp, shoestring fries, honey butter rolls, crawfish etouffee. They can do it all over there at Cork's. Just swing by for a late lunch or a dinner. It's government between Foster and Jefferson. Had a tweet that was sent my way a little bit earlier today. Let's see who sent me that tweet. It was Chris McDowell. Said I was all the way out in Gonzales, and you started talking about Cork. So here I am on Government Street eating shrimp and listening to 104.5 ESPN. That's an easy way to get a retweet if you tweet at that at me. Chris McDowell, we appreciate that. Cork's fantastic partner here at the Hunt Palmer Show. They bring you our Friday shows each and every week, so we appreciate them for that. Football Friday today. We're not done. Matt Musso is about to drive you home on After Further Review. Matt's been out for the last couple of days, had to head over for a doctor's appointment, but fired up for this evening in Baton Rouge local high school football. Kay Wassan going to be on coming up at 6 o'clock for Louisiana Prep Preview. They'll get you ready for Catholic and Carr from the West Bank. Going to be an awesome environment for that one. It's two of the big powerhouse programs in the state. And they'll be back to the Louisiana Prep Scoreboard at 10 o'clock. So we're with you here live and local until about midnight tonight here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We'll also have the SEC Championship and the ACC Championship in their entireties tomorrow if you're driving around and want to lock in on Texas and Georgia, as well as SMU and Clemson in the ACC Championship game tomorrow evening. So that's kind of getting you set up for the weekend. We've got one more order of business to do. That, of course, is take it or leave it.
All right, first one here. A sports bettor in Kentucky placed a $3.1 million bet on the Philadelphia Eagles to beat the Carolina Panthers. That's one of the largest bets ever reported on an NFL regular season game. The bet would net just under $443,000. Betting $3 million. Take it or leave it.
Depends on how much you have.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Why? Sure, not my money, so I guess I don't have to worry about it. I'm trying to run the numbers on that. Like, if you've got $10 million to your name, I think that's probably a bad bet.
Yeah.
If you've got 180, sure. I don't know that an extra 443 is going to.
I don't know how much value you're really getting. Out of
There's
this.
not a ton. I mean, you just boil it down. If I bet 310 to win 40, that's more my speed. But it's probably going to happen. But the Panthers have played better, there's no guarantee that Jalen Hurts doesn't go down 3 minutes into the game. There's a reason the odds are what they are, I guess. So if you got some cash and want to put $3.1 million on it, fire away. I put that in Tier 4 because I think it's a bad football game. But maybe we'll talk about that on Monday.
Maybe so. Next one here. Tennessee cornerback Jordan Matthews has entered the transfer portal. Matthews was a top 10 recruit coming out of Louisiana in 2023, prepping at Woodlawn, Baton Rouge. LSU will be in the mix. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I mean, that's a guy that was a 4-star, was a good player. I don't know anything about what he did at Tennessee.
Not
but
much.
They got a good defense, and they got a good defensive backfield, so I'm not sure. But LSU needs to add talent to the cornerback position. And if that's a guy that Corey Raymond thinks he can develop, we'll see. I think they're going to have options in the portal. Obviously, the guy that we talked about earlier from Florida is going to be in the mix there. So we'll see. But I'd be willing to take a look.
Yeah, it looks like he doesn't really have very many stats. He played in 5 games last year, and maybe he was hurt this year. I'm not sure. It looks like he didn't play. He did make the SEC Academic Honor Roll, so that's good.
Excellent.
Good.
Better than me.
Next one here. Cold pizza for breakfast. Take it or leave it.
I will take it. I like cold pizza, but
Yeah.
I like cold pizza. I will absolutely eat it. I will enjoy it. I'm probably going to warm up the skillet.
I would prefer to just.
I'm probably going to warm it up in the skillet and go there. It's going to take me 4 minutes, and I think it's better. Trust me, I will eat cold pizza if it's available.
I will too, man. But yeah, I'll put it in the air fryer for a couple minutes. I prefer.
We talked about this. I had never warmed up in the skillet before.
Yeah,
and that changed my life.
It's quite good.
The crispiness that comes with that. I mean, the microwave just be damned. That's just absolutely not.
You don't want to do that.
No.
All right, last one. Breakfast pizza. Take it or leave it.
So I'm going to try this tomorrow. I've never made breakfast pizza. I like breakfast pizza. But we're going to do like a bacon grease and like milk-based garlic, like sauce,
Whoa.
cheese sauce.
All right.
We're going to go cheese. We're going to do some sausage, some bacon, some scrambled eggs. So real heart healthy.
Yeah.
But I've never made it before. We're going to try it. I told Alyssa that I was going to make that. She said, you're an idiot. You're going to get the kitchen disgusting, and me and Myers are not going to eat that. So don't do that.
Myers is not going to eat it?
Myers eats 4 things.
He won't eat pizza?
He does eat pizza. This is going to have scrambled eggs and bacon on it. He will not eat that.
Yeah. Well, you could just make him a little small one without all that stuff on it.
Well, he's not going to eat. He eats chicken nuggets, French fries, ketchup, lasagna, meatloaf. That's about it.
Oh, no, the baked ziti. Don't forget about the baked ziti.
Yeah, we tell him it's lasagna. We cut it up real and just tell him it's lasagna. Because when the lasagna comes for him, it's cut up in tiny little pieces.
Right.
So there's not a lot of. I'm sorry, I missed one. He eats beans.
Okay.
We take beans out of a can and warm them up on the stove, and he'll just shovel them in.
That's good.
Kid will not eat scrambled eggs. Will not eat macaroni and cheese. Sometimes a quesadilla.
The mac and cheese is surprising.
He's an idiot. Grow up, kid. Eat some more food.
It's so mean, man.
That was uncalled for. We'll see. He's probably going to get candy at the game on Sunday.
Probably.
He'll eat that.
Oh, yeah.
Halloween candy's still there. And he will eat whatever you want as long as you will get it. Well, that's not true, but he'll eat a lot if you just tell him the Halloween candy's coming on the back end. So that's it for a Friday edition. If you missed any of it, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound, of course, on YouTube as well. We're back on Monday. Looking forward to that. Got a lot to react to on Monday's show. Musso is going to drive you home next on After Further Review. Everybody have a wonderful and safe weekend. We'll see you tomorrow. No, we won't. We'll see you Monday for the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is the website. Jonathan Carver and his team, fantastic people to work with. I've told you, you're getting towards the end here, but if you've got a 1/1 renewal for your commercial insurance program, you probably should have looked at that previous to now, but it's never quite too late. You can give them a call at the Highland Insurance Group. They are happy to help you. If you're looking for different markets to better have solutions for issues inside of your industry, the Howard Insurance Group is an independent broker. They can find those markets for you. They got dozens of them on hand. EPL, crime, cyber, D&O, umbrella, whatever you need for your business, they can help you there. And they're great to work with. They're great people, and they want to be a part of your team. You trust your attorney. You trust your CPA. You need to trust your insurance broker as well. They're right here in Baton Rouge, but they can help you anywhere in the state of Louisiana. So if you're around looking for a different option for your insurance program, the Highland Insurance Group can help you with it. Give them a call or check them out online. It's HighlandIG.com, HighlandIG.com.